Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. What does it mean to heal your life? What does it mean? When I hear this, I think of healing from trauma in the past. This was meant to be a New Thought book, but the New Thought movement started in the late 1800s. And this was published in 1984, almost 200 years later. Is there anything truly new about it? Let's find out, because this book, seriously, it has sold 30 million copies since then, which is a metric freak ton. And to still be selling 30 million copies after 40 years, there's gotta be a method to that madness, okay? Is it actually good? What's there to learn from it? What separates it from any other new age self-help book? And what's all the hype about? Let's talk about it. Just so you guys know, there are affiliate links in the description. If you guys buy anything through those links, like maybe this book, then I get commissioned, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I wanna make self-growth normal, because people shouldn't have to look this information up. They should just be mainstream knowledge. If you agree, then please make sure to smash that like button. First thing, very, very bad audio quality in the audiobook. Very bad. Some of the worst I've literally ever heard. And I've reviewed over 300 books on this channel. The reason I don't normally mention when it's good audio quality is that most audiobooks have good quality, from the recording to the mixing and mastering. If you have a book this old, remix it and remaster it and re-record it and do a new version of it or something. How to Win Friends and Influence People is almost 100 years old. Think and Grow Rich is almost 100 years old. Those books are almost 100 years old. Listen to the audiobooks. They're fantastic. They're super crisp. They're perfect. When I say stuff like this, though, about how it's really bad audio quality, it's usually a book that after a few chapters, I do get used to it. A lot of this book reminds me a lot of Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, yet it's formatted in a particularly lazy way. There are 4 chapters, the audiobook at least. The actual book, I'm pretty sure, is formatted just like you'd hope that it is. But in the audiobook, there are 4 chapters. No intro, no outro, no credits or anything. They have no names at all. Here's one part that stood out from the beginning. I believe we choose our parents. Each one of us decides to incarnate upon this planet at particular points in time and space. We've chosen to come here to learn a particular lesson that will advance us upon our spiritual evolutionary pathway. We choose our sex, our color, our country, and then we look around for the particular set of parents who are mirroring the pattern we are bringing in to work on in this lifetime. I get what she's saying, but I also don't. Why would you choose your sex and color and country? And what lesson do we choose to learn being that sex and color in that country? It makes about as much sense as the grand plan. The grand plan. Except I guess it's individually our plans? So many questions. So many. I think something that stands out in a good way about You Can Heal Your Life is that as a new thought-based book, it maintains a focus on self-healing and self-care. Not just a positive thought and positive self-talk, not just the law of attraction, but a focus on how these things are affected by your finances and relationships. That's probably my favorite thing about this whole book. From fear of asking for a raise to body dysmorphia, to not making the sale, to feeling like you're not good enough, to letting others get too close. Ways of expressing our lack of self-worth are relevant to this day. They really are. It's held its concepts, a lot of them. A very common thing you hear in You Can Heal Your Life is that you're constantly doing the best you're able to at all times, given the information you have at the time that you're doing it. I heard a therapist say this to me once, and I think it might have been the author. I don't know. Some things that the author said in this book, and I didn't know where she got them from or how they could be true. Most of us choose to think the same kind of thoughts our parents choose to think. Where did she get this? I can't tell you how differently I think about things from how my parents do. And if this affects anything, I'm not adopted. By the way, she didn't even mention the adoption thing. This book is totally anti-science. This book is very she takes science and just like it's nothing. Here's another part that stood out that was right up my alley. I've never understood the importance of having children memorize battle dates. It seems like such a waste of mental energy. Instead, we can teach them important subjects such as how the mind works, how to handle finances, how to invest money for financial security, how to be a parent, how to create good relationships, and how to create and maintain self-esteem and self-worth. Imagine a whole generation of adults after having been taught this curriculum. We'd be happy people who'd feel good about themselves. We'd have people who are comfortable financially and enrich the economy by investing their money wisely. They would have good relationships. They would be comfortable in parenthood and create a similar generation of children. I love the meditation exercise in the beginning of the 3rd chapter where she instructs you to imagine yourself now confronting yourself as a child and showing yourself love. And then Doing the same thing with both of your parents each as children, and then bringing all three of the children together and just hugging them and assuring them and telling them everything's okay. I just found it very powerful because deep down, the way we react to things now, it's a lot like the way we would have reacted to other things that happened 10 years ago, or 20, or 30, or I don't know how old you are. You do, I hope. She said that inside each person is a good quality, no matter how other people react to them. It has nothing to do with you. Affirming when you have a mean, unkind, critical, grouchy, and cruel boss, that you work for someone who's loving, full of praise, fun to be around, gentle, and compassionate. I know what a lot of you are thinking, because some of this totally went over my head and color me skeptical. Wouldn't you just be lying to yourself if this is how your boss actually is? It's hard to say for sure. The author doesn't actually address this, because why would she when it conflicts with her viewpoints? I'm not sure. Color me skeptical. If skeptical were a color, I wonder what it would be. Maybe some kind of poopy green diarrhea brown. I don't know. The type of color that you should see a doctor when you see it in the toilet. Oh my gosh, I'm getting off track. This is called You Can Heal Your Life, not You Can Heal Your Poop. Something else I want to say about just the nature of this book that kind of presents itself in a way that isn't really all that accessible to all that many people in all that many places. I'll mention later in the review. And then the fourth chapter, for the most part, at least in the beginning, she praises prosperity and holds a positive viewpoint about money up on a pedestal after wiping some blue paint across its forehead and saying, Simba. Halfway into it, she goes into this gorgeous tangent, of a personal story from her past. And I wondered to myself, where the hell was this substance earlier in the book? This lady has been through some poo. And I'm not talking about the brown kind. I'm talking about the green. No, we're not going down that road again. But I was so confused about that. This is a short audiobook. The average audiobook is about 6 to 8 hours. This one was 2.5. There were a few very, very short stories. You hear the one about how she got financed for that new car when she didn't think she would be able to, and some brief ones about her clients, stuff like that. But all of a sudden at the end, there's this like 20, 25, as many as 30-minute long personal story about her life situation growing up and how she grew to want to live in a world where it's safe for us to love each other. She could have said in the beginning of the chapter, or even the book, I'm going to tell you guys about a personal experience I had about how you can heal your life. At no point do I remember in the book where she says, when I say heal your life, this is what I mean. Overall, you can heal your life. It has its ups and downs, its goods and bads, its pizzas and pineapple pizzas, it's black and blue dresses and white gold dresses, and it's a slippery slope. Or is it? I do have some mixed feelings about it, and there are good feelings, but they're eclipsed by the bad ones, contrary to the merit of the author's advice in seeing the good in things. I think there's a need to recognize where that hurts us, and there's an even greater need to address it as a result. It's packed with some great advice on mindset, but it's questionably disorganized. Questionably. There's literally no format in the audiobook other than 4 numbered and unnamed chapters. And this book has an energy to it that is no more freeing than it is untethered. It's spiritual in a way, but it's nothing like the 4 Agreements or the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. The writing style itself will separate it from anything like modern, like You Are a Badass, Girl Wash Your Face, The Subtle Art, or any other mainstream modern self-help book. This is an 80s classic, but what is it that I just can't grasp? Or maybe you. What makes it inaccessible, if anything in particular? It's hard to put into words, which is why I don't mention it often, and also I'd have to explain it every time I do for people who are like, what the hell is this? But if you've ever checked out Levels of Energy by Frederick Dodson, amazing book, amazing, one of my favorite ever. I'm losing my voice. You know about the different levels of energy in the world. This whole energy scale, it starts at 0 with shame, and it goes up to a 700 with enlightenment and higher. Many people in certain areas of the world are at the bottom. Many people in many areas of America specifically, namely, almost no human is alive is at the very top. I think it goes up to 1,000, but I talk about each one of these like levels in my review. By the way, any book I mention in this video, I've probably reviewed, and I will drop links to every single one of those in the description for anyone who wants to check those out. But most people in America are between neutrality, 250, and willingness, 310. Most books we review, and it's not just people these energy levels refer to, it's literally just about anything. Most books we review are between willingness, 310, and reason, 400. This one is at maybe love, 500, or joy, 540. But when you get to that point, A book with that energy level will say some things that will probably leave most people scratching their heads. Positive affirmations are leaned on heavily, almost too heavily. She mentions multiple times, based on her own experience, how they can contribute to the curing of cancer, with a level of conviction that I have to say is eyebrow raising. It really is. Of course, there's no science behind this that she talks about at all. I'll leave that to Joseph Murphy. No one does it like Joseph Murphy. By the way, some people said that this book is unchristian. I don't know what that means exactly. The best method for cancer, and you can ask an oncologist, I'm sure they'll agree, is the scientific method. There are many, many studies on placebo and using the mind to contribute to the cure of disease, but mental reserve can only do so much when there are actual physical factors at play that are actually there already. Disease is multifactorial. It is. That's impossible to avoid. And by the way, this is disease and health we're talking about. There's also relationships, professional life, and not to mention finances that she talks about in this book. She's reducing the cause of and solution to a lot of struggles in life down to just one simple thing, which is that you can control whatever you want, sort of, and you get back from the universe whatever you put into it. Any tethered book on something like this will acknowledge doing and action. Even The Secret, for crying out loud. Even The Secret. But this whole thing with the affirmations and the goodness, out goodness in, and all that zoozakazam, is that even a word? It's not that simple. It's just not, okay? The most outlandish and disturbing section of this book is one you'll find littered across negative reviews, where she lays out a list of physical ailments, their emotional and behavioral causes. Yes, I know, as if they're caused by particular emotions and behaviors, and new thought patterns to help you avoid and or cure said ailments. This is probably truly the most preposterous thing I've heard of in a book in years. And I don't even know why, but I'm almost offended at that. It's the type of energy level in a book that, coming from someone who checked it out, you can reasonably, of course, expect there to be no studies, no research, or anything but personal experience and just personal belief that supports really much of this at all. It's the type of energy that deep down below will collapse on itself and crumble into a depressive state that, where am I going with this? Okay, I gotta come clean. The tail end of this review was written the day that I ran out of Adderall, and for anyone who doesn't know, there's a nationwide shortage of that medication. If any of this review sounds totally insane to you guys, then maybe I already lost it. But
I guess I don't need medication. Maybe I can just heal my life or something.
Quotes. How foolish to punish ourselves in the present moment because someone hurt us in the long ago past. People with wealth love to pay for what they get. It gives the item more value. Direction 1. I recommend this book for anyone who needs emotional healing from the past but is careful enough to not neglect the reality that is, while the reality that is not hopefully yet is still not. Direction 2. If you like this book, a very similar style and energy book, one that I definitely liked more, I actually just reviewed and I'd recommend it. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check out and read the reviews. That and all the other books I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed, then you want to turn up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos. That would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.